We'll talk about that. But we've got a special guest today, and you need to know this guy. We're going to be seeing his face in Arizona for a long time. Phil Lovas is running for Congressional District 8, Trent Franks' seat. We hate to see him go, but I'm glad to see Phil in the hunt, man.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me here.
Thanks for coming down. You know, I know you're a busy guy, bobbing and weaving, and the campaign trail is it's an arduous task. Anyway, what are your visions after the election?
Well, certainly, a little bit about my background, Don. I mean, obviously, I was appointed to the legislature in 2012, ran for election, I should say, in 2012, and then re-election 2014 and 2016, and chaired the president's campaign here last year. So I was very proud of that. Very proud of the fact that we came out with a win, and that he obviously became president. And then earlier this year,
it's always good to win.
Always good to win, yeah. Nobody goes into a campaign to lose, and if they do, they shouldn't be running.
Yeah, but how would you like to go the next 4 years walking around acting like Chuck Schumer?
Oh, yeah, Chuck Schumer. Oh, geez.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the last guy we want to see any more of. So when the president was, I got to tell you, there was nothing more. I don't know if I've ever had a more exciting night in my life than election night last year, quite frankly.
Telling you. Well, what's your hunting schedule? When is the primary and the general?
Primary is February 27th, and then the general is about 6 weeks after that. I think the second week of April.
Okay. This is all special election.
This is all special election.
Oh, yeah.
So the way this works is, you win in February, then you run in April, you win in April, then you have to run again in August and November.
Define what we're fighting to the congressman on HSUS right now.
The Humane Society of the United States has put together a group that's here in Arizona called Arizonans for Wildlife. And they're basically seeking petition signatures to put an initiative on the ballot in 2018 to ban all wildcat hunting in Arizona. And then, of course, you have bobcats and mountain lions. And they're beating the drum of civility and that barbarism of having this, and that people are chasing what's inhumane, all of this stuff. That's the message that they're sending.
Bottom line here, Arizona Game and Fish Department needs to be the sole governing body on management of game and fish in Arizona.
Right. Correct.
Not
Absolutely.
the Sierra Club.
Yep.
And it's all tied to the Humane Societies basing it, trying to get people off the landscape. They hate hunting, and that's what they want to outlaw.
Right.
One species at a time.
It's a fundraiser.
Good morning, Phil.
Good.
Hey, my question is about sportsmen. I heard the discussion just before you went to break and talking about the role of game and fish, and I wonder how you see that. If game and fish should have that authority, or is it something that voters or the state should dictate to hunters and anglers?
I definitely think it's a state issue. It's we want to try to get the federal government out of these issues as much as possible. I mean, people here in Arizona know best what's best for Arizona, and so whether that is game and fish, I think I certainly think working in conjunction with game and fish is the key to this. I mean, they are in the field, they're working with the public, with the sportsman community, and so is to exactly what degree who makes those decisions. I'd have to give a little more thought to that, but having worked in the state legislature, certainly we had very high regard for game and fish and what they were doing.
Woo-hoo. Okay. What's your first order of business?
What's my first order of business in Washington?
Yes.
Got to clean out, you got to drain the swamp, change the culture in Washington. One of my big things that I want to get done is working on a couple things. One, term limits for congressmen. I'm absolutely in favor of term limits.
Yep.
I'm absolutely in favor of ending congressional pensions, okay? When I went into the state legislature, before I did, I said, I will not take a pension, and I want to end the elected officials' pension plan, because quite frankly, I thought it was ridiculous that politicians who are only supposed to be there for a limited amount of time had voted themselves the most lucrative pension plan in the state.
You're going to be a real popular guy.
You know what? If you believe in it, you got to stand up for it. So I'm fine taking shots and arrows on things that I absolutely believe in. And so, I sponsored the bill to end the elected officials' pension plan in the state. We passed that bill. I was very proud of that, and that's one thing that I will do is certainly sign on to that in Congress as well. And then, of course, we have to make Congress live by the same laws they pass for us. You know how they exempt themselves out?
Health insurance.
What about it? I'm sorry? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, they Obamacare, they exempt themselves out from everything. So, not everything, but certainly in that case. And so we absolutely have to have them living by the same laws they pass. They have to understand that these are the things that they're doing to America and be a part of that. So that's one of the things I wanted to do in the state was, hey, look, if I am going to advocate getting rid of pensions for politicians in the state of Arizona, right, I have to walk the walk. And so that's why I turned it down in the first place, because I didn't believe that I should be taking it. If I'm only going to be there for a limited amount of time, why should, in the end, potentially I get a more lucrative pension than a teacher or a cop or a firefighter? That's just wrong.
Okay, and then just so our listeners know, advocate the balance between somebody who's a freshman senator, freshman congressman, and somebody who's been there for 30 years, like Senator McCain.
Sure. Well, yeah, the system is set up for seniority. So the longer you are there, the more clout you have, the better committees you will be on. The greater your voice is, essentially. So it is harder when you are coming in, certainly. However, that's where you need to find like-minded people to really get these issues moving forward. And so that's one thing that I would absolutely do, is find those people who agree in cleaning up Congress. And quite frankly, we're in a spot right now with everything that's going on where you're seeing cracks in terms of what's happening there. People are resigning. These problems are coming to light with the
good old boy
settlement
network
fund.
is crumbling.
It is crumbling, and that is one thing that we need to continue on in pushing forward. Is to, if we're going to make these changes, this is a good time to make these changes, because the public is sick and tired of Congress, feathering their own nest, essentially.
We're in a firefight, and let me describe it in those military terms. We're a platoon in a foxhole, and we're taking fire from all sides. Whichever way the wind's blowing that particular day, one day it's wolves, which is a whole nother big deal.
Right.
Then it's mountain lions, and if you take a look at the way Utah is structured, they don't have the incoming fire that Arizona has, because their DNR and Game and Fish Department rules the roost on what gets managed and how and what gets hunted and the conservation. That HSUS wouldn't dare go to Utah. So
yeah, it's a world of difference, and that's a key thing. Sportsmen in Utah have a much tighter grip on their state by far, because of the advocacy that they promulgated 25 years ago under Don Pay.
It's their state constitution.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things that I'm going to bring to the table here is, having chaired the president's campaign last year, having been appointed to a position in his administration this year, I've got great relationships with the administration, obviously. So not only can I be an advocate for Congressional District 8, but I can be an advocate and a go-to person for the entire state when it comes to dealing with the administration and certainly the needs of sportsmen across the state. And so I would certainly be happy to be an advocate in terms of pushing these issues and letting them know how important these issues are, sportsmen's issues, to the state of Arizona,
Exactly.
to the administration.
What can we do for you in the meanwhile?
In the meanwhile, spread the word. Be happy to answer any questions. My personal cell is 602-541-5504. Also, Lovas for Congress, LOVASFOR, Congress.com. And you can follow me on Twitter at Phil Lovas as well.
Good job.
But spread the word. It's a quick campaign, February 27th.